All right, part two of Salem Witch Trials article. We'll get into we had to set up the killings in part, or the hangings in part one. So today we'll get to those. And I don't know. We talked a little bit about it in class yesterday. I'm not sure why, as humans, we are so interested in this kind of stuff. It's been studied, by historians and people of all ages. It's just kind of interesting that this could happen in society today, like in big numbers. Like we talked. I keep going back to the Holocaust. Like Salem was a very small, and we'll find out today. Like not everybody in the town of Salem was like, yeah, this is a good thing. There were at least one person that spoke out against this. Like, whoa, maybe we should stop. Like this is a little crazy. But the people who had the power were all for it, and that can be dangerous. So I'm certainly dangerous. It is dangerous. So let's take a look at the second part of this article. And it's always important to read these subheadings. A confession changes things. All three women, remember we were talking about a housekeeper, a woman who was elderly, and a woman who was homeless. All three women were brought before the local judges and questioned for several days. Starting on March 1st, 1692, Osborne claimed innocence, as did Good. So those are the two last names of two of the women. But Tituba confessed. Remember, she was a Haitian. She was, she's from the Caribbean. She was a slave. I almost think she was from Haiti originally. But Tituba confessed. The devil came to me and bid me serve him. So she's saying, I did it. Yeah, I'm a witch. She described elaborate images of black dogs, red cats, yellow birds, and a black man who wanted her to sign his book. Is that the devil? She admitted that she signed the book and said there were several other witches looking to destroy the Puritans. All three women were put in jail. So we could go into a whole lot of the racial undertones of this. Black is evil and white is good. But we'll save that discussion for another day. It kind of popped out to me when I read it. Like, oh, interesting. Now, this is even crazier right here. Over the next few months, there were charges against other women in Salem. Judges even questioned Sarah Good's 4-year-old daughter, Dorothy, and her timid answers. I mean, she's a 4-year-old girl being questioned by people in charge. Her timid answers, she was shy, she was nervous, were interpreted as a confession. So because she was a little scared, at 4 years old, she was giving, come on, can you hold a 4-year-old responsible for anything? But her mom is eventually going to be imprisoned here. All right, the hangings. On May 27th, 1692, not too many days away from the anniversary here. I'm recording this on May 20th. Governor William Phips assembled a special court. The first case brought to the court was Bridget Bishop. When asked if she had committed witchcraft, Bishop responded, I am as innocent as the child unborn. So she's saying, no, I didn't do it. The defense must not have been convincing. Bishop was found guilty and on June 10th became the first person in Salem to be hanged. Not sure where they got the proof, but apparently they did. 5 days later, respected minister Cotton Mather wrote a letter begging the court not to allow statements about dreams and visions. So at least he sounds like a voice of reason here, like, hey, wait a second. Is it possible we're going too far with this thing? Well, guess what happens to him, and more importantly, like his wife. The court largely ignored this request. Between July and September, 18 people were sentenced and hanged. In response to Mather's plea and his own wife being questioned for witchcraft, Governor Phips decided to stop further arrests. So it did Mather's request. Finally, it seemed like it got through. But look at this is important. It's when Phipps's wife was being questioned. Whoa, 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 whoa! That's too far. Yeah, don't question my wife. He released many accused witches and dissolved the special court on October 29th. So dissolved, that is definitely one of our words. So it could literally be if you have like a glass of water, you could dissolve some sugar in it. It means melt away. But we can also use like this quart. It just kind of went away, maybe kind of slowly, just dissolved. So it can be used for real world things, not just like sugar into water here, dissolved. But it usually means like slowly breaking up. So maybe there's a rock band or whatever, and they had a couple hits, they had a couple songs, then slowly over time they just kind of dissolved, like they parted ways, they didn't get back together or whatever. That's another way to use dissolved. Phipps eventually pardoned all who were in prison on witchcraft charges by May 1693. However, the damage had been done. 20 suspected witches were killed, several people died in jail, and nearly 200 people had been accused of practicing the devil's magic. So one thing that this article doesn't cover is old Dorothy, okay? Her mom was imprisoned. And in prison, people aren't served like the best food. Certainly in the 1600s, they weren't. And unfortunately, she had a sister born in prison, but it died shortly after, probably because the mom didn't get enough to eat. So, making up for the mistake. Following the trials and executions, many involved publicity confessed error. Okay, I'm read that wrong. I knew like that doesn't sound right. Following the trials and executions, many involved publicly confessed error and guilt. So the people who were involved in this were like, yeah, we messed up. Yeah, we done messed up. In 1702, the court declared the trials unlawful, so against the law, unlawful. And in 1711, the colony passed a bill restoring the rights and good names of those accused. Still dead, though, still dead, and granted money to the families of the victims. However, it was not until 1957, more than 250 years later, that Massachusetts formally apologized for the events of 1692. So Massachusetts, the state, felt like they had to apologize to all the people that were killed during the witch trials. In the 20th century, artists and scientists alike continue to be fascinated by the Salem witch trials. The play, The Crucible, used the trials as a setting for political commentary. And a crucible is something that can help start a fire. So a crucible is sometimes used as like if there's a political debate. For instance, there was this book written right around the time of the Civil War about slavery called Uncle Tom's Cabin. And you could say like that book was a crucible for the Civil War. It helped make the Civil War start more quickly. A crucible. It literally helps a fire start. Like you could use it as that often in science, but crucible. Just a little side note there. One theory about the chaos blames the unusual habits of the accused on the fungus ergot. This fungus, we talked about this before. If you're in class, Caleb was talking about this yesterday. This fungus, which can cause illness and strange behavior, is found in cereal grasses common to the area. So maybe what started it all, like the crucible, was the girls that we learned about yesterday. They were having those fits, and it could have been because of that fungus, that tainted or possibly tainted yeast. In 1992, to mark the 300th anniversary of the trials, Nobel Peace Prize winner Elie Wiesel dedicated the Witch Trials Memorial in Salem. This guy Elie Wiesel wrote a very famous book called Night. I have not read it yet, but I would like to, and that might be on my summer reading. I'm going to share that book in a minute. I might actually buy it. I don't own it. Dedicated the Witch Trial Memorial in Salem. I already read that, didn't I? The town's most visited site remains the Salem Witch Museum. It stands as a symbol of the public's fascination with the events of 1692. Yeah, so let me stop sharing this, and then I think I can pull up that book. Yeah, I would like to read it. I don't think I have it at home. I'll check first before I buy it. But this, hang on. But this book is fascinating to me, and like it said, it won a Nobel Peace Prize for literature with this. And this is called the Night Trilogy. It's actually 3 different books, but you can simply buy, that's Night right there. Come on. Yeah, that's Night right there. Kind of a famous book. I see it all the time. And I got some Mexican lollipops I would like to buy. I don't know if I'll buy those or not, but maybe. It is about so Ezel Wiesel, is Romanian. He's passed away since, but he's a Romanian guy born in 1928. So he was actually a small boy put into a concentration camp by the Nazis, and his dad was there. Sorry, this is about his dad's time in the concentration camp. So, I mean, it won a major award. I kind of like to read that too. Not exactly very closely connected to the Salem witch trials, but I mean, we have talked about just somebody can get something in their head, that mob mentality, others will agree, they start drinking the Kool-Aid, and then you have chaos ensuing, which is what happened in Salem back in the 1600s. All right, hope you learned a little bit.